Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, micromanager gets to play Christmas for a week. Boss makes major changes to schedule and gets me fired. School learns that 6th graders would rather not be at school. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Micromanager gets to play Christmas for a week. This story takes place many years ago, while I was working as the help desk manager/system administrator for an online campus. Most of my job was doing support for the small office staff, 12 people at any given time, but I also did things like maintain our file/DNS/DHCP server, wireless, A/V support for the conference room, phones, etc. I also supervised a small help desk of students who would respond to help desk queries from online students and the occasional professor. I was also responsible for ordering any IT supplies we needed, including things from Staples like blank CDs, labels for demos, and what have you. Our account manager at Staples never put our individual names on packages. When anyone from our office ordered anything, he just addressed them to the office, and we'd pick up packages based on tracking emails we got or when we were expecting something. Even though we were a tiny office, Staples would sometimes just drop packages off mere hours after we placed an order, since we were in a decent-sized city, and our account rep was a stand-up guy. While working for this online college, the director hired Greta, the brand new financial manager and my direct supervisor, after our last financial manager resigned after months of coming into work drunk or hungover. Greta was having difficulty coping with the responsibilities and pressures that came with her new position. She had worked as a junior financial specialist at a sister campus, and had been promoted to senior financial specialist when she came to work for us. She was young, and it was obvious that she just didn't have the experience yet for this new level. As time went on, Greta became frustrated and was under a tremendous amount of anxiety, because she just could not understand some of the finer aspects of her job, and the central office was calling her out on her frequent mistakes. Meanwhile, the director came into work later and left earlier, so he could work from home, because all of his time in the office was being spent with Greta and trying to get her trained up on things. He was a decent director, a little too hands-off, but he had a full plate of work as well and couldn't keep just dropping everything to spend hours with Greta going over the same Excel sheet they had gone over days earlier. Thus, the rest of the office started bearing the brunt of Greta's frustration and anxiety. To be honest, we all felt really bad for her, but her attitude was emotionally charged, negative, and defeatist. One of my coworkers, who was friends with a lot of people in the business offices on our sister campuses, lined up a junior financial specialist position for Greta closer to Greta's home. The central office oked the move, and though it would be a demotion in title for Greta, the pay and benefits would be the same. The idea was that the other campus would be able to invest the time to train her to be a senior financial specialist, and we would hire a new senior financial specialist who could get rid of the backlog of work and stay permanently. It was win-win-win, or so we all thought. Greta didn't want the demotion though. In the end, the effort that had been put into getting her a more appropriate job was wasted. The central office finally gave up, shrugged, and told our director to deal with it. It was around this time, about 6 months into her job, that Greta decided that micromanaging me would make her feel better. If I went to the restroom, I would need to let her know. If I went to the server room, I would have to let her know. If the white noise generator we had in the office was too loud, I was not allowed to adjust it. If I so much as needed a new mouse or CMOS battery, I had to ask for her permission. Because she was constantly busy and stressed out, she'd go for days without responding to my emails, and stupid little things like a broken desk phone couldn't get replaced because Greta wasn't giving me the okay. I was an Army vet, used to working independently as the only IT person, and really didn't sweat the micromanaging. I was more amused than anything else. One day I had ordered something like pens or something, with permission of course, and Greta had ordered superglue. I got the package the same day, took my pens, and gave Greta her superglue. She took it from me and closed her office door. Later on, I passed by her office while she was in the restroom and noticed that she had the glue next to a women's pump shoe on her desk. Being curious, I peeked in a little more and noticed that she had purchased superglue on the state's dime to fix her shoe. This was not a big deal, but wasn't really allowed. Since Greta had been breathing down my neck and supervising me at a molecular level, I felt it appropriate to email the director and asked him to let her know that it wasn't a great idea to spend state money on personal purchases, no matter how small. He, in turn, forwarded the email I had sent to him to Greta and told her not to do that again. Again, not a big deal. No one was going to lose their job over a $3 tube of superglue that was used for personal reasons, and I freely admit I was being a ninny boo-boo tattletale for really no good reason. I just thought this would be a little quick jab at her for being a neck breather. But Greta decided that my roundabout way of chastising her was the last straw. She told the entire office, not just me, that she would open all packages from here on out, and that we were not to handle them at all. Okay. Did I mention that our Staples rep was a stand-up guy? It was because of him that I found out that I could order quite a few products individually wrapped, addressed, and shipped. I needed a new CMOS battery for a desktop in the office, but figured I should get a few extras just in case. After getting approval from Greta for 10 CMOS batteries, they all arrived individually wrapped and enclosed in those gray Patek envelopes that really have to be cut open because they are too tough to open by hand. I also found out I could get blank CDs individually as well, so after getting permission, I ordered 100 blank CDs. We sent software via US mail to some online students who didn't have the bandwidth to download a required application for a specific class. All individually wrapped. The Staples courier wasn't thrilled, and our small mail/break room was filled with 99 CD-sized cardboard boxes, someone miscounted, for a few days until our cleaning person was able to take them to the recycling dumpster. A day later, Greta stopped approving my purchases, so I emailed the director himself and, since he was busy with real, actual work, just told me to go ahead and order what I needed, and that I didn't need to ask permission to order things anymore. I found out I could get those cheap, no-name black ink pens individually. Same with small stacks of post-it notes, Sharpies, network patch cables, those little individually wrapped screen wipes, scotch tape, and mouse pads. The literal amount of plastic and cardboard that was flooding our office those few days was amazing. At one point we had to fill an empty office with boxes left over from the canned air experiment. Staples was nice enough to break open a pack of 48 compressed airs, and send them each individually wrapped in boxes the size of a small wastepaper basket. Since Staples was using their courier for this, they weren't getting hammered with shipping charges, though the same-day deliveries were taking a day or two now that the Staples van was maxed out on space. A week or so after I had ordered the CMOS batteries, I got a curt email stating that I could open packages once again. I responded, thanking her, and asked her if I could go use the bathroom. A few weeks later Greta left for another position, and the office returned to normal. Boss makes major changes to schedule, and gets me fired. This happened way back in the 90s when I had a night job as a computer operator on a mainframe. Big computer that Windows 3.1 is more powerful. Or so it seemed. Our company relocated to a neighboring state over a weekend, and I was scheduled to work Saturday and Sunday nights 12 hours each and have off Friday. But was told to call Friday at 6 p.m. for directions to the new place. While I was there, I didn't know how to get there from where I lived. Since I wasn't scheduled, I ran the errands that I would do over the rest of the weekend because of the schedule, and at 6 o'clock I called. Conversation went like this. Hello Boss Weasel, I'm calling to get directions to new building. Boss Weasel, good. He gave me directions and said he'll see me in an hour. Me, what, I'm not scheduled and I hadn't been to sleep yet as I wasn't supposed to be there. Boss Weasel, plans changed. Sorry, I forgot to call. This meant I wasn't going to get any sleep for basically 2 days, and I told him that. He didn't care. I said I've got to crash for a couple, and would be there when I could. I grabbed a 2-hour nap and drove the hour there. Needless to say, I crashed out at 3 a.m. and was caught the next day by Boss Weasel. I did get everything done I was supposed to get, but *T happens. Well, I got threatened with being fired but wasn't. But I was written up for it, and everyone else that was involved told him he was wrong. He didn't care. So 5 or 6 months of BS happened, and he decided to demote me to distribution clerk. This meant I had to separate thousands of pages of reports and get them to the right person. Of course, I wasn't trained to do this, and mistakes happened. So here is where the fun begins. He called me into his office, left the door open, and just yelled at me. He told me that I wasn't to separate or distribute the reports, just pull them off the printer and let someone that wasn't AF*CK up do it. I realized something then, and I smiled to myself and said for him to put that in writing. The idiot did. The letter with the company logo stated that under no circumstances was I to distribute the reports. I said okay and happily went on my way. He was going on vacation that night, and I knew the crapstorm that was going to happen since that night, a Thursday, and the last day of the month, was the night the paychecks were printed. Well, the difference with paychecks is that they were run through a special machine that separated them. There were about 500 or so, and then they would be placed in envelopes by the payroll department. They picked up first thing in the morning. So about 10 minutes before they were to arrive, I got my coffee in Danish and waited. Payroll clerk, to be referred to as PC, where are the checks? Me, over there. I pointed to a 2-foot pile of papers. PC, I need them separated. Me, can't do it. PC, WTF not? Me, Boss Weasel ordered me not to. I showed her a copy of the letter as I took the original home. PC, we'll see about that. Me, okay. PC got Boss Weasel's underling, who actually was a decent person. Underling, OP, what is going on? Me, Boss Weasel told me in no uncertain terms that under any conditions am I to separate or distribute any reports. So I'm not. Underling, he knew the reasons, I'll authorize it. Me, I'm not letting you take the heat for it. Call him and get permission. Once that's done, it'll take 5 to 10 minutes to do it. Underling, okay. He reaches for the phone, tries to call him, and no response. He went hunting and there were no phones. Ha ha ha. I said sorry, won't do it, finished my coffee, put my coat on and went home. Told him I'd see him Monday as I don't work Friday. I handed him the copy of his letter and left. They did manage to separate the checks eventually and everyone got paid. I had direct deposit so I didn't care. Nothing they could do to me then as I followed my instructions to the letter, but I knew I was done there and I didn't care. Boss Weasel got reamed for that and made it his goal to get me to quit, but I wanted unemployment so that wasn't happening. I got fired a month later and was told my goodbyes were talked about for months. When I saw him by my now former workmates, I let him have it. Last thing I said to him was that his boss needed him under his desk now. Run along and bring tissues, you'll need them. About a month or so later, I wanted to say hello to the guys I worked with for 10 years and who answers the phone. Boss Weasel. Except now he was demoted to what was my position, and had to work third shift and weekends. He didn't last long. I found out later where he went to and realized a dear friend of mine worked there too. Got him fired. I ran into him at a street fair a year later, and the only reason I didn't rip him a new a-hole was that he had his young son with him. I'm too nice. School learns that 6th graders would rather not be at school. Been reading these stories for a while, just realized I had one of my own. This takes place in the late 90s/early 2000s, can't remember exactly which year, but Pokemon had recently became popular in the USA, especially in the town where I grew up. For those of you who are too young to understand, it was as if a switch was flipped and then everyone liked Pokemon. The Game Boy games were something everyone got for their birthdays, or the holidays. Everyone wanted Pokemon cards to collect and play with to the point where stores had limits on how many packets people could buy at a time. Kinda crazy looking back on it. Anyway. At my elementary school, which was kindergarten 6th grade, 5 to 12-year-olds, teachers obviously saw how much we liked it, so initially it was a great way to incorporate into lessons or activities, but then it became a distraction. Now this was before phones, so no one, at least at my school, had the audacity to play their Game Boy in the middle of class, but students definitely would look at Pokemon cards, discuss trades they want to make, and unfortunately some kids had their cards stolen out of their lockers or their desks. To combat this, the school made a rule that anyone who even had a Pokemon card on them would be sent home for the day. Some of you might see where this is going. The first day a few kids got sent home. The second day a few more. By the third day, it was a Friday, over half of the 6th grade class, out of about 80, was sent home, and the principal/superintendent were both receiving phone calls from pissed off parents that they had to come home from work just because their kids had Pokemon cards. Needless to say, the rule was gone by the following Monday, and kids were advised to keep cards at home. Admittedly, I never brought cards to school, too much of a rule follower, but now as a teacher I can't help but look back on what happened and think, well, they did that. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.